have more overseas news to discuss tonight with our next guest, U.S. Congressman Marlin Stutzman of Indiana. Representative Stutzman, so good to see you again. I know that you had a chance to visit Syria earlier this year. At the time, you said that you felt that the country was ready for a fresh start. Ostensibly, negotiations are now happening with Israel and Syria. Where do things stand at this time?
Well, obviously, the people there are so hungry for freedom and to rebuild their country. And so that side is encouraging. There's a lot of unique sort of people that are grabbing power right now because there's a power vacuum. But al-Shara has taken, control of the country and is really trying to navigate through all of those pieces. But there's been a lot of attacks on the Suwaida area down in the southeastern part where Druze and Christians have been attacked. That has subsided. Today there was an announcement from Ambassador Tom Barrack that there was a security agreement to protect the Christians and Druze. So hopefully that maintains itself. And of course, al-Shara is going to be coming to the UN to speak here later this month. And so it's going to be interesting to see what he has to say. But, we're really pulling for it because the Syrian people, they just need a reprieve from the dictatorship that they've been living under for the last 50 years. Are you
concerned that there may be a narrow window to make this happen?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's so many different forces inside, around, even al-Shara in Damascus that, they don't want to see Syria facing west. They want to see Syria as a landing spot for jihadist groups to attack Israel. They're looking for a place that they can control. And al-Shara told me when I visited him over the Easter break that he wants to keep Syria unified, and he wants to also make sure that that they're part of the Western sort of civilization rather than facing to the east, especially to Iran at the time. But there's a lot of internal fights right now that are going on. He's been facing assassination attempts. And so it's really a tenuous time in Syria, and we're really pulling for them.
And switching gears now, of course, there have been some deep divides that were revealed even prior to the death, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. But now that has become a little bit more serious, or intensified, I should say. President Trump, as you know, has blamed radicals on the left. On the flip side, Governor Spencer Cox of Utah has said we really have to turn the temperature down with all the rhetoric. What's your message to the American people?
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Oftentimes we hear about political leaders being assassinated in countries like Syria. Of course, there was one in Japan that was just devastating a couple of years ago. But, here we have a young man, 31 years old, that was assassinated. I think that, the rhetoric does need to be turned down. And I think it's also an opportunity for us to look to see what is going on the internet. What are these chat rooms really doing? I mean, even the gaming industry, which is a huge industry, and my kids are part of it, but there's like the darker web, and that I think that needs to be explored and understand what's really happening there, because it's so easy for young people to get drawn into that. And I just saw some of the text messages today with the assassin and his boyfriend of what was happening. His commentary is just chilling. And so I think this is an opportunity, to learn what's going on behind all of this. But obviously justice has to be served here as well.
Of course, Texas and Missouri have already redrawn their congressional maps. You have suggested that Indiana ought to do the same. What's the timeline on that?
Well, so filing starts in January for candidates, and so my suspicion is that it'll happen by November. The state legislature meets right before Thanksgiving. The governor made an announcement today that looks like the direction Indiana's going. A lot of this just pertains to Illinois, and if you look at the Illinois maps, it's very different than what the Indiana maps are, and a variety of other reasons. Indiana's not a sanctuary state. We don't count, those who are non-citizens or illegal in the state as part of our census. So there's a real imbalance that I think needs to be addressed, and so I applaud Governor Braun for taking a look at the situation.
Congressman Stutzman, really appreciate you coming back on the show. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.